I live in a city of over 8 million people. But just like those 8 million people come and go, that's exactly what people have done to me all my life.
My name is Jasmine Barclay, and I'm also a filmmaker. Well, I initially got into filmmaking. I was 15 years old and I was selected for summer youth employment. And I was placed at a work site called DCTV. And what they do there is they take 40 students each summer and they teach them all things that go along with making films. And from there, I just found a great love for it. Film is such a powerful tool because it's one thing to tell someone a story or say it to them, but it's another thing to actually see what that actually looks like. And when people actually see what something looks like, it starts to evoke many different emotions in them. It starts new conversations, new ideas, new ways to talk about old ideas. So that's the best thing about film. A lot of social problems are addressed through film, but my passion that I realized from talking to one of my mentors here at Medgar, I really want to work with youth who have had an incarcerated parent or have an incarcerated parent. So one thing that helped me get through the incarceration of my father was film, because it gave me something to take pride in. It was, it was like a home away from home, if I didn't feel like being at home, I would go to the place where I make films at. I would go there, edit or whatever. And, people acknowledged it and said, wow, this is great work. You're actually good at this, and that made me feel really good. As a senior fellow at Downtown Community Television Center, it is a requirement that you create a portrait or an autobiography about yourself. So initially, my idea was to make a film about having trust issues with people, which stems a lot from, people going in and out of my life, such as my dad being incarcerated and things like that. And, I just had to sit down and say to myself, like, this is a story that needs to be told. This story could possibly inspire someone in the same situation, because most youth in that situation do not tend to take the positive road, finish school and, do extracurricular activities and things like that. So that's when I decided that I was gonna tell my story. Me and my crew that I work with, we found out that it might be a possibility that we could be going to the White House to premiere our documentary at first. And once I heard that, I was like ecstatic. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I hope we go. And then we found out that we were going to be going. And it really kind of didn't hit me yet at that point, but then when I received the actual invite, it says like Echoes of Incarceration premiering their new documentary. So we're like the headliners of the event. So I was like, oh my gosh, like this is an official White House document that refers to me, It's really so surreal for me, because where I'm from Far Rockaway in Queens, and not many people make it out of there, like maybe a handful, if that, So for me to be doing something so big, it really means a lot to me, and also to my dad. He's bragging, he loves to brag, my daughter did this, my daughter did that. If I get to meet Barack Obama, I will shake his hand, and I'll probably be a little bit starstruck, but I would try to suppress that as much as possible and use that 5 seconds, to whisper a little thing to him and, let him know that we need more programs for youth with incarcerated parents. They need more support. A lot of people tell me, why don't you do film? Why don't you do the film route? And I said, there's enough filmmakers, but there's not enough people working for this issue, advocating for these issues, working with these kids who oftentimes fall by the wayside because people don't know how to deal with that issue. People don't even know how to begin to talk about that issue. 1 in 28 children in the United States have an incarcerated parent. That's a huge number. That's not 1 in 1,000, that's 1 in 28. So it's a big issue, and I just want to be able to, spark conversation about that. I would love to change the issue, even if I can't change it, I want to change the way that people think about it. Courage means to me talking about something or going or advocating for something that not many people see as a big deal. That's what courage is to me, you know, going after something despite what, you know, what the common beliefs from society or what people tend to think about the issue.